Thank you so much, Radka. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here once again for WeGate Training Academy and Workshop. My name is Claire Monk. I'm the CEO of Be Angels, and I'm also the managing partner of an early stage venture fund called the Scale Fund. I am here in my capacity of board member of Business Angels Europe, a proud partner of the WeGate project. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity today to talk about access to finance, and more specifically digital finance. And so today we have the pleasure of welcoming Lina Zhang. Welcome, Lina. She is the operations and marketing director of Lita. She will explain to you what Lita does. It's a crowdfunding platform, but with a few specificities in terms of sector focus and geography. And the objective of this session is for you to get a glimpse about what they do, but also some do's and don'ts or suggestions as to how to best run your crowdfunding campaign, if you're running one, and some success stories. As usual, if you have questions during Lina's presentation, don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A, and I will take them as we go. And without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Lina, as she's going to share her screen to present Lita.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here today to talk about Lita and sustainable finance, crowdfunding. So just for the presentation, I have to share my screen, right, Claire?
Yes, please. And I'm here as a backup if that doesn't work.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't prepare that. So just a few minutes. And of course, sorry for the timing. It's coming.
No worries. Yes, perfect. If you can just put full screen, that will be super. Thank you so much.
Clearly? Okay, perfect.
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
So yes, very nice to meet you. So my name is Lina, as Claire already introduced me. Just to give you some more details about my background. So I've joined Lita 3 years ago. So I'm mainly in charge of all the campaign fundraising organization. So there is a team dedicated to that in Lita, but I'm also in charge of all the communication around the campaigns, but also for Lita as a company and as a brand. So before joining Lita, I wasn't at all working in the finance sector or even in the what we call here in France the social entrepreneurship or the impact sector. I used to work for big companies like L'Oréal, for example, or smaller companies as business developer. But I decided 4 years ago that I needed more meaning to my work, and I wanted to dedicate myself for work that feels like I am part of something that is changing the society at my own scale. So this is how I discovered Lita, and I joined this wonderful adventure. So for, I guess, probably, I don't know if you are very familiar with Lita. So Lita is, we call ourselves as the first social investment crowdfunding platform. So we are a crowdfunding platform, but we are fully dedicated to impact investing, and our mission is to build new economy that is more social and ecological. Okay, so this is a quick picture of Lita if you haven't ever been on our platform. So we are 100% online and digital. So Lina, yes, is today we are a leading actor in impact investing. We are not only we are in a network of impact investing. These are more European, like Belgian and French networks. Of course, we have all the labels and agreements that make our works solid and also sustainable. And we are also in an ecosystem where we do also co-investments with funds. So behind the platform, we are also a group. Maybe just to give you the platform KPIs. So today we have invested more than 75 million euro. We federate 70,000 citizens with 30% of active investors. So it's private investors. We made more than 140 fundraising so far. And Lita is still ourselves, we are a startup, and we today are around 50 people. So around 3 countries. That's why we are in European level. So we are present in France, Belgium, and Italy, and we have a project of development all across Europe. So why we are also a group? Because we don't only work on the investment part, which is basically our DNA, but we also want to raise awareness about sustainable finance, about the impact of our savings, about the impact of our money. So it goes through an event that is called Impact Now, and also an mobile app called Rift. That's an app that can allow you to scan your savings and know what are the carbon footprints of your savings. So of course, I already told about the investment platform. We also have our own business angels network. So today more than 300 members, and some most of them are former entrepreneur. For example, the ex-CTO of BlaBlaCar, that kind of people who today want to invest their money and also their time in impact companies. And we also want to work on more macro level to transform also society, to be able to transform traditional way of doing finance by doing some positive lobbying on political part of our and also juridic part of our work. Sorry. So I guess the questions are at the end, right, Claire?
Yes.
Okay.
I might have some questions during your presentation. Participants are free to send their questions as you go, but otherwise we'll take the questions at around 2:30.
Okay. So sorry if I speak a bit fast, but if you have major questions, don't hesitate to interrupt. Just a quick timeline of Lita. So we've been operating now for about 6-7 years. So it's not very interesting to go through the timeline, but you can see that our application Rift that we just launched like 1.5 years ago. So it's kind of a new activity for us. But everything is for us creating an ecosystem on sustainable finance. So it's very connected to our platform activity also. So concerning our community, we today, and also I'm sorry because some of the, inside the slide you can see some French, and this is not good, I know, but I translated the main keywords, messages to understand, but there are still some French inside, so I'm going to explain it orally in English, of course. So we today gathered that community of what we call impact first investors. So the people coming and investing on Lita, they are looking not only for benefits, but also knowing that their money are financing companies or sectors that they believe in, that can work in this sustainable development transition and fighting climate change, or work on or fight social inequalities. So this community, we have like kind of 4 personas. The first one was we call the young active saver. So it's the average age around 30 years old, people that have just started to have savings, but they are very aware about all the challenges that we are now today, the society facing. And for them, they want to invest in impactful, in meaningful projects. So they invest on our platform around more or less 700 to 800 euros per investment. And yes, and yeah, that's it. And also, what is important to say that they are themselves people who are very engaged and also trying in their own lifestyle to be more sustainable and ecological friendly. We also have the premium investor, those people that used to be big donator of NGOs or association, people that have already more savings. They are around 50 years old, and they will invest each time around more or less 3,000 euros. Then we also have the wealthier people that comes on Lita, and they are more like people that are companies directors. They also are more or less around 50, 60 years old, and they most of the time invest more than 10,000 euro per investment. And then we have the business angel that I've already talked about. They are kind of younger in Lita. And that's like, would say, classic business angel investment around 10 to 100,000 euros, depending on the project. So as we are like today, most of us, I think, are women, and it's for women entrepreneurs. So on Lita, on the platform, the woman investor, or it represents 30%. Is there a question? Oh, no, okay. So it's 30%. So it's not equality yet, but we want that to improve, of course. But to give you a context of, there is also a survey on digital platform crowdfunding, and the percentage of women is more around 5% than like in average. So we are doing better. We think because that impact investing attracts more women, or sometimes makes women want to invest and to think about how to invest better their savings. And it's about the same percent of women entrepreneurs that we have on our platform. And we also see that women investors also invest when there's women entrepreneurs. So also women entrepreneurs can also gather more women and or make some women get more into this investment culture. That is, because this is something that men were more used to, but this is something we want and we need to change. Also one information that is interesting is that 70% of our community invest for the first time in impact products with Lita. So it means that we have this power to make people be aware of what they want, how they want to invest, and then to be this partner to invest for the first time, to do some impact investment. So this is for us as a company also our impact indicators that we want to follow on long term. Yes. Sorry. Why is it? Okay, so just the context, because I think you had like another masterclass on digital crowdfunding, digital funding. So today, Lita, we fund companies in equity or quasi equity. So it's a kind of lending, but only the bonds of this lending financing. So we don't do donation, we don't do rewards. It's 100% financial side of crowdfunding. And the range is quite wide. We have a campaign starting from 100K to 5 million euros, depending on the size of the companies. And I will show you then the different kind of companies that we accompany on Lita. So there is a wide range of actors. We started at the very beginning a lot with startup, what we call startup for good. So it's tech for good. But now today we worked to have a more diversified and balanced portfolio of companies to be able to address the maximum of investment, let's say, investor profile, and to make also our investors be able to build a more diversified portfolio on Lita. So you have startups that can raise on seed or Series A or B stage. We have a pool of cooperatives or association that is more in this, what we call in France, the solidarity economy. We also have companies that work on sustainable housing and real estate. So there would be like some eco-builders or renovators, and sometimes insertion and solidarity investment companies. Some can be infrastructure, for most of the time energy projects. Most of the time it's energy production projects. We also want for people to invest in a more local way. So we have this offer that we call close to you. So it's local product and services, local companies that very rooted in their region. And some more mature SMEs with a strong local industrial base. So it can be also project of relocation and project of building a more sustainable industrial sector. So this is the different kind of companies we address. So it's kind of Lita, we are kind of a generalist platform, even though we are concentrated 100% dedicated to impact. We try to address a maximum of type of companies that need to be financed. We have 6 key sectors of transition subjects: health, so energy, industry and materials, everything around food and agriculture, so education, training, also culture, all the companies that do consumption goods and services, and the last one, so everything that's concerning real estate and housing. So this is about why you should choose Lita, but it's not only about choosing Lita, but I think that doing crowdfunding is a new behavior for entrepreneurs today to finance. I would say 5 years ago, for entrepreneurs, the automatism was to go towards, of course, business angel network or funds. But actually, crowdfunding today is a very powerful tool to make fundraising. As Lita, as an actor, today we are working as a pure player. Sometimes we do the campaign alone, in the fundraising all alone, or sometimes we co-invest with other impact funds, and it's on what we call a pari passu basis. So we negotiate all together the terms, and we are able to be inside a fundraising calendar for the company. So this is very specific to Lita, but when you do a fundraising campaign with Lita, you also structure your impact. So we help you to develop indicators, because of course private people that invest in your companies, they want to know how you are doing this follow-up of your impact, and it has to be something tangible. So we develop indicators. Also, for some companies, work on the mission of impact, and sometimes we can also go through the sharing of value and power inside a company. So most of the time, when a company finishes the fundraising with Lita, it has this, would say, impact label, and also the impact is more understood and tangible. So doing this crowdfunding is also a way to build an ecosystem, a strong ecosystem around the company, because you're able to involve all your stakeholders, can be your customers, can be your suppliers, and then you also create new ambassadors around your companies that can after tomorrow then talk about your companies. And it's another kind of engagement. It's not only being for example, a customer of a product, but it's also having shares of the company. But as a private investors or a citizen, create this engagement and also this affect that is completely different. And so companies that have done that kind of crowdfunding can after this fundraising have stronger ecosystem around them, supporting ecosystem. Of course, crowdfunding is also a communication campaign. It can raise visibility because we will during a campaign activate many mass market channels such as PR. Can be also social networks. We try really to work on every communication channel that can be activated to integrate the most of the people, all the people that would be interested in the company and in financing this company. And the philosophy of Lita is to create long-term relationship. We don't do just one fundraising and then goodbye. We go to the next companies because we offer to manage the investor community on the long term. For example, when one investor enter as and buy some shares in the real economy, it's at least for 5, and if it's like a startup, we know that it's for 5 to 8 years. So during these 5 and 8 years, Lita is still here to animate the community, make reporting, to be this partner between the company and their private investors. We also manage exit, and we have a lot of companies that make refunding with Lita. So we also accompany on a different stage of a company. Some of companies we already done like 3 to 4 fundraising on Lita, from seeds to bigger, from equity to quasi-equity. Sometimes it's bonds, sometimes it's shares. So depending on the growing and the development stage of the company, we can be a partner all along. So just to very practical, what is a crowdfunding campaign on Lita? So we have a team of analysts that will to have the first contact with entrepreneurs. Then they have a deal flow committee, so they're talking about the company and to assess if it is actually what we call an impact company that has impact, of course, following a methodology. Then there's this due diligence work, fast analysis of company financial and extra financial aspects. And then it goes through an investment committee that is a board with people from Lita, but also business angels and impact funds. So it's also external stakeholders inside this committee. And then when it's okay to the committee, then we can start the campaign on the platform. So this moment with the analysis team is about 1 to 6 weeks, depends on the project and depend on the calendar of the company. Then when you are okay to the investment committee and then you start the fundraising, it's another team that will be in charge, and this is more my part of the work. So it's about being able to put the company online on Lita, and then work together the arguments, to work all the communication supports of the company for the campaign. In Lita, we have 2 stages of the campaign, even 3. So pre-funding, funding, and closing. Pre-funding is a moment where people, they can give some investment intentions of investment. So to say, I think I'm interested in this company and I would like to, if I had to invest, I would invest 1,000 euros, for example. So this is a moment where we can test the appetence of the citizens and the community of Lita, but also the community of the entrepreneurs for this fundraising. And also we work on all juridic aspects of a fundraising during this moment. And then there's the funding when it's okay, now it's open, and people can directly invest their money online or transform their investment intention into a real investment. And then of course the closing, at the end, the closing. And so it's in all together, making a crowdfunding campaign can be very quick, can be 2 months, depending on the project, also, of course, and the financial product. And sometimes it can be a bit longer and can be 4 to 6 months. So this is very specific to the maturity of the company. Is the company a mass market company? Is it B2C or B2B? Of course, doesn't have the same way to touch the people and then make them private investors. And of course, according to the financial product, if it's shares or bonds, then it will go faster, or we have to work a little bit more to gather more people. So to give you a scale, when you do crowdfunding on Lita, you have at least 100 people participating in this fundraising, and sometimes it can be more than 1,000. It depends, of course, on the amount we can raise on the platform. And I already told you about different personas, but altogether the average ticket is around 2,000 euros. So this is very, let's say, mass market and citizens way of doing fundraising, and this is all. That's the point actually of our activity. Sorry, some best practice. So these are it's general, but so we can maybe go deeper if you have some question. But what is important when you do a fundraising, of course, it's to tell your story. People, private investors are more working on affect and emotions than I would say a classic traditional investor. So one of the best practice is to write a manifesto on the companies to explain on which stage of development you are. What is your story as an entrepreneur? What is your vision? So to be very personal and to work on emotions, and you can use a manifesto like written articles, or of course videos, visual testimonies. All those things that brings emotions are very important when doing crowdfunding. Yes. So when you talk about everything, people really love when you have this transparency and being able to be vulnerable. This vulnerability, it doesn't mean that you have to show your weakness, but to be real about your entrepreneur adventure, the challenge you're facing, why you're doing this choice. The more transparent you are, the more people can feel that the more you can build a trust relationship. In Lita, the entrepreneurs behind the companies is very important. So we try to make a lot of events where people can, this was before COVID, people that can meet the entrepreneurs, and it's not in the real life, then it's online, that they can ask questions directly, because you want to build this trust. And most of the time people, they invest also because of the person, because of the leadership, because of the vision of the person, they're feeling about it. So this is very important that you incarnate, like that you are, that you bring the values of your company. I mean, it's your company, so it's normal, but this is something that is really valued, at least. So also to be transparent about what will finance this fundraising, being very transparent about the different stage of the development. One thing that is very important is that kind of investment for private investors is still very risky for them. So of course, Lita, we also have a team of counselors, and we will never tell someone to invest 100% of their savings in one company, not even 10% of the savings in Lita is the maximum. But to be honest about your business plan, and to be honest about how you want to develop your companies is it's a responsibility also regarding the risk that some private investors are taking, even though it's very clear for them that in this kind of investment they can lose everything. Also the follow-up. So to be honest, making a fundraising campaign is very time taking, and it's a real implication during these 2 to 5 months, depending on a lot of things. But you will need to be dedicated, and you will need to dedicate time and energy to make it successful. So you have to assume 100% that you're doing this fundraising on a crowd aspect, and then communicate on a very regular basis. This is the key. You can't just communicate to say, okay, I'm launching a fundraising, and then at the end, and please invest. It's very important to communicate on a regular basis, every week or every 2 weeks, to use all the communication tools that you have, and also to communicate on the different step and achievements of the fundraising, when you achieve the minimum amount, or when you have being able in parallel to convince some other co-investors. These are very important indicators that can also make people willing to invest or to feel reinsured. Then the last one will be think large but community first. Depending also on the company model, if you have your own community of consumer, it's very important. I mean, most of the time, the entrepreneurs that come to Lita to say, okay, I want to do a crowdfunding, is because they want to integrate their consumer in their financial adventure, because they want not only to have impact products, but they also want to be sustainable on all the company life cycle. And today, and that is one of the philosophy we have in Lita, is to democratize equity investment, quasi-equity investment, to make it more accessible to everyone. So a lot of entrepreneurs, for them, it really makes sense to do that with their own community, as they are already consumer. So when you do this company, there's many ideas you can do to create some special benefits for your community. Can be some clubs. We have a company called Funky Veggie that do some vegetable snacks, and they call it the Funky Club when you were invested, and they have some special benefit, like some co-creation of the product development, or dedicated newsletters, and some other companies that can also create some boards, specific boards to the private investors that will meet every year. That is more an engagement of the company. It's not mandatory, or some field trips if the company has some manufacturers or gardens, depending on everything, of course, of the models. So yeah, try to think about how you can create a community within your community of customers or other kind of stakeholders. And then also think large, because sometimes you will say, okay, I'm not sure this person will be interested in investing in my companies, but you never know. And we have seen a lot of campaigns where there were some former colleagues, former students, alumni, that were very, very involved in this entrepreneurial adventure. I wanted to invest, and also suppliers that sometimes you say, okay, they are my supplier, right? But sometimes we also have suppliers that invest a lot in the company because they also believe in the company model or mission or whatever. So yeah, so don't hesitate to think large and to favor your community.
Lina, since we have only a couple of minutes left, I will let you maybe finish your presentation with just one or two examples quite quickly, and maybe ask the participants to prepare their questions if they have any in the chat, while you give us a few examples of success stories.
Yes, of course. It's the end. So success stories. This is some companies with different kind of stage of development. For example, in Seed we had Roger Voice, which is a telephone solution for people that are deaf. Sorry, I don't know in English how to say. And they can, so people they can connect and call. And this is actually one of the first one we did on Lita, and on Seeds most of the time is shares, and it gather around like 150 investors. When that kind of startup are growing, we can do more fundraising close to Serie A and B. And B, we have, for example, Aurore Market, which is kind of a bio, like organic shop, but online. So it's cheaper to buy the product online and make it more accessible to people. And can be in shares or in bonds. For example, we have Murphy, that is a company that come at your home to repair to your dryer that is broken, and to not make you buy a new one. And they for example finance in bonds. It can be, for example, bonds during 3 years with an interest rate of 5%, to give you a specific example. And this is about 300 people that will invest to make this. It can be €5,000 to 1 million. Then more mature company, we will be always around 1 to 3 million euro of fundraising. Most of the time, these are more bonds. For example, we have this is a French company, so it's called 1083. It's a company that make 100% ecological jeans that is made in France, and it's about 600 people. When you gather 600 people in that kind of fundraising. And the last one, it's more like real estate or energy project financing. It's about the same amount of private investors. It can be in shares or bonds. And when we do energy project, it goes very fast because people are very keen today to invest in that kind of project. And for example, Trion was one of our like best timing campaign. I think we did it in 1 month. It was over, and it was oversubscribed. So there were a lot of people who haven't been able to invest. So it can be also very, very quick depending on because they were offering bonds at 7%. Of course, the rate is higher. The risk also is higher, but because they are doing this energy production, green energy production, it was very, very make people very willing to invest. Yes, sorry, I think it was very fast at the end, but don't hesitate, you have questions if I wasn't clear on anything.
Thank you, Lina. I think it was very clear, very, very instructive. We have one question, which is about really your geographic scope. I think you mentioned that, so you're active in France, Belgium, Italy. Maybe I'm missing a country, but maybe do you have any plans to expand in other European countries? And if so, can you tell us which ones might be first?
I was still thinking about it, because it also depends on the regulation, way. It depends on every country. We thought about maybe country like Spain, Luxembourg, yes, Central Europe for the moment.
Okay. We have a question from Yasmin, who says, can you reach out and send us a list of companies who would like to expand in other countries and send it to us? So I think that it's not that simple, but I think, let me turn around the question. I suppose most of these companies have activities in other countries. Are they looking for support to find new customers or ways to expand in other countries?
When doing crowdfunding?
Yes, for those companies who have successfully raised crowdfunding on Nita.
Yeah, so the question is, as those countries being able then to grow on a more European or international level, yes, after the fundraising. Yes, for example, we have Murphy, so the one I was talking about at the end. So this one here, when they fundraised to grow in Europe and to start new countries like Belgium and Spain.
Okay. Okay, so
for example, today we are Belgium, France, Italy, and we did some cross fundraising through Belgium and France when it's in bonds and in companies that have a European level activity and that have headquarters. We can make, for example, that it's a French company, but if they have headquarters also in Belgium, then we can make a cross borders fundraising.
Yes, and actually I should say that with the Angels, we do co-invest sometimes with Lita in Belgium. So maybe last questions before we have to wrap up, and a quick answer. Can anyone invest on your platform, Lina?
Yes, anyone. I think there's a very important thing I haven't said, that it's every investment starts at €100. So the minimum ticket in Lita is €100. So that's why we wanted to make it more democratized as possible. And we have people from 18 years old to 100. I think that the eldest was 100 years old. So it's,
and you don't have to be based in France, Belgium, or Italy.
Of course, you have some exclusion. For example, American citizens cannot invest. So it's very specific to every country's and regulation. So not everyone in the world can invest, but if the regulation is okay, then you can invest.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lina. I think we have to wrap it up. Thank you so much for presenting today.
And if you need anything, you can contact me if you have more questions on Lita or anything to go further. Please feel free to contact. I can send my email within the chat.